progressing steadily towards Italy. But 6 survivors told us the Coast Guard intervention sank their boat. Now the captain of the Coast Guard vessel that was in the area has been charged with causing a shipwreck, with his crew accused of being complicit. The then chief of the Greek Coast Guard, as well as the supervisor in the control room on land, have been charged with exposing others to danger.
A new cholera outbreak in Sudan has killed 172 people, sickened more than 2,500 over the past week. Authorities say the bulk of the cases were reported in the capital, Khartoum. Breaking news at townhall.com. No new information on the shooting that happened around a boat dock near the Intercoastal Waterway Sunday evening in Little River, South Carolina. Horry County Police not providing information on the conditions of 10 people that were hurt or share details of how they may have been injured in the shooting. Police also not releasing any details on possible suspects or say why the shooting happened. The most recognizable name in women's basketball, sideline.
Indiana Fever star Caitlin Clark has a left quad strain and will be out at least 2 weeks. The team announced the injury on Monday. The Fever did not say when Clark suffered the injury. Further updates will be provided after she gets another evaluation. The Fever lost 90-88 to the New York Liberty on Saturday and are 2-2 on the season. Clark is averaging 19 points, 9.3 assists, and 6 rebounds this season. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
More on these stories at townhall.com.
The following is
All right, folks, you certainly know what that theme song means by now. That's right. It's time for another episode of America Matters here on Zacky Radio. I'm your host, Leo Zacky, with Joshua Matriciana co-hosting with me today. I'm so glad to have him here with us. But today we're going to break down some of the biggest global threats you might not even see coming. From hidden spy bases off our coast to invisible drones in our skies, and even unsettling new twists in AI and mental health. Today's show isn't just about headlines. It's about the future of national security, personal safety, and the blurred lines between man and machine. So buckle in, because what you're about to hear might just change how you see the world. But before we jump into anything, I want to give a big shout out, hello, welcome, and thank you to everybody out there listening on 93.7 KPGF as well as AM 1060, and all the folks out there listening on Radio for America, the Salem Network, the Answer Network, the Kevin Jackson Network, and AUN Television. Thank you so much for joining us today. And also a big thank you to all the folks on those respective stations that help get the broadcast out there. So thank you for that. And don't forget, you can always watch the stream or comment on America Matters Media's Facebook page or LinkedIn page. Or you can just go to Zacky Radio, real easy, Zacky Radio on YouTube or Rumble. Like, comment, subscribe, and share it with all your friends. We're looking forward to those follows. So, up first, what if the most powerful spying operation targeting the U.S. wasn't halfway across the globe, but it was just a short boat ride from Miami? We're digging into China's suspected spy bases in Cuba, what lawmakers are alarmed by, and what it could mean for American homeland security. So, Josh, why don't you kick us off with a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the most powerful intelligent networks in the world may be operating just 90 miles off the coast. This isn't fiction. This isn't Cold War nostalgia. This is real, and it's unfolding in the waters between Cuba and the United States.
Yeah, these stunning revelations about China's suspected surveillance installations in Cuba. And while Capitol Hill is sounding the alarm, well, from satellite imagery and congressional hearings to global power games, this is the new front in modern intelligence warfare. I love how Cuba's the battleground yet again when it comes to something like this. You know, there's a couple of things here that y'all need to know about. One of them being the growing tension. If you hadn't noticed, there's a little bit of growing tension in the world with the tariffs and the trade wars. But two of the key House committees recently called for a classified briefing from the Department of Homeland Security, urging a closer examination of these Chinese intelligence operations in Cuba. And I would also go on a limb and say the secret Chinese police stations here in the United States, we got a lot of problems. So a letter submitted by lawmakers points to 4 suspected synced SIGINT signals intelligence satellites within Cuba's borders, or excuse me, not satellites, sites within Cuba's borders that are believed to be targeting nearby U.S. military installations, including naval submarine base in Kings Bay, Cape Canaveral, and of course, Guantanamo Bay. So these spy sites in question are in Buacal, which is just outside of Havana, and there's one in El Salao. There's another one in Calabazar and Wahey, and they're tracking all sorts of information. They're building new ones. We can see that they're being built. We can see that they're there, and we know that this data is going back to China. And well, China says that Chinese and Cuban officials have denied the existence of these spy bases, but we know from the telecommunications infrastructure investments by Chinese firms like Huawei and ZTE in Cuba, well, they're going to raise some red flags, no doubt about it, because they're all owned by the state to some degree. So experts are arguing that these facilities could allow China to intercept sensitive military communications and conduct electronic warfare, monitor U.S. missile launches, disrupt critical infrastructure, gain insight to the U.S. defense posture. I mean, very, very susceptible to getting that sensitive material to the Chinese with their spy tech right there just across the way in Cuba. So, Josh, I mean, it's not quite as threatening as the nuclear war, but having them have information, that's the big thing nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, this is about more than just antennas and radio waves. It's about proximity, power, and presence. I mean, these suspected facilities mark an effort by China to deepen its strategic footprint within the Western Hemisphere. It's a direct challenge to U.S. influence in its own backyard.
Yeah, this is the world we live in, folks. So what we got to do is we got to stay informed. We got to follow these trusted sources. I mean, trusted sources when we talk about news is always questionable. I hate even saying that word. So, listen to what's going on. Let's just stay informed. Let's hear what the White House puts out. I'd say that's the best source.
And of course, this show. This is probably the most trusted source.
Us in InfoWars. I couldn't be anybody else better. So support policy transparency because we want to know what's going on. Call your representative. Demand clear communication on threats involving foreign surveillance and, of course, national security because it needs to be discussed beyond classified briefings. We need to know what's going on. Engage with cyber and tech policy. Surveillance just ain't physical, folks. It's digital nowadays, and that's what it's all about. So make sure we're learning about that and think bigger because it's not just China and Cuba. It's a global struggle for intelligence dominance from the South China Sea to the Caribbean. These strategic footholds absolutely matter. So the oceans may separate nations, but in a world of electronic warfare, distance means very little. So what matters is vigilance, transparency, and, of course, preparation. So when we get back, they're in your parks, your skies, and maybe your battlefields. From consumer drones to weddings to military UAVs and war zones, China's drone empire is expanding fast. And the implications for privacy, defense, and global power are massive. So we'll discuss that when we get back from our first break here on America Matters. I'm Leo Zacky with Josh Matriciana. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Eddie Floyd. Let me tell you about my favorite non-profit public charity, Wainema Wild Horse Sanctuary, located on the Forsyth Ranch in Hallelujah Junction area. And please go to www.wainemaranch.com. That's WYNEMA ranch.com.
Have you been injured in an accident? Trust Adriana Guzman-Freilich at AGF Law, your local personal injury law firm in Reno. At AGF Law, we pride ourselves on being honest, hardworking, and ethical. Let's meet in person to understand your case and fight for your rights. Located near South Virginia and Plum, we're always ready to help. Don't navigate the aftermath of an accident alone. Call Adriana at 775-453-9595 or visit adrianalegal.com. Your recovery is our priority, and we're committed to getting you the justice you deserve.
At A Proper Fit Footwear in the Reno Town Mall, we've been accomplishing happy feet for over 30 years.
We offer a various range of shoe styles and sizes for both men and women. From all-season shoes and orthotics to work boots and safety shoes, our professional and reliable staff possesses the knowledge to help you find the proper shoes to fit your needs. Hard to fit? Hard to find?
A Proper Fit Footwear is here to give our customers happy feet. We make people aware of potential foot problems as we're sizing their feet, suggesting the right arch support, and guiding them to the proper shoes for their needs.
Stop by A Proper Fit Footwear at 4001 South Virginia Street in the Reno Town Mall today, and allow the owner Mike Jones and our fabulous staff to find the perfect pair of shoes tailored to your specific needs.
A Proper Fit Footwear in the Reno Town Mall, the home of happy feet, where comfort and your feet meet.
Unable to listen to the whole show? A recording of today's program will be available later today. Visit americamatters.us and click on the podcast link. Now back to the show.
All right, folks, we're back with America Matters on Leo Zacky with Joshua Matriciana. And as I mentioned before break, we got to talk about what's going on with these drones. Josh, give us a little bit of insight with what's going on with that.
Sure. A world where battles are fought without soldiers, surveillance is conducted without boots on the ground, and your nation's critical infrastructure could be watched silently from thousands of feet above. This isn't science fiction anymore. It's today's reality.
Ooh, well, we got a video talking just about that, so let's roll the tape.
Episode 10, China's Drone Armada. China has over 50 drone types in development and over 1 million kamikaze drones in production and even hypersonic drones. They have a hypersonic drone that can hit Mach 3 at over 100,000 feet, and they also have a stealth attack drone. They've made drone armies 10 times cheaper. They have combat drones that run 1 to 2 million apiece compared to 15 million for an American model. Another crazy thing is they can control 10,000 price. And mass drone manufacturing is going to become critical since the future of military is likely drone-on-drone warfare. And China is positioned pretty well for it. You probably don't want to see a Chinese drone swarm coming to your country in 2035.
Heck no, I don't want to see a Chinese drone swarm coming here anytime soon. That sounds crazy. But it looks like since I guess warfare will be going to this drone phase, I guess actually all the video games the kids are playing are going to pay off. You might actually get to go to war for real and have a respawn.
They're already doing that in the Russia war. It's all a drone war now.
Yeah, but they're killing people with that. I mean, like if drone on drone, like you'll be able to get like a respawn.
Right.
Which you don't get in this life. You don't get a respawn. So I just thought that was a little funny thing to mention there. I hope we just go to have, if there are going to be wars in the future, which I hope we don't have any wars in the future, but I mean, it's humankind. It's sort of inevitable. But, if we do, I would really love it if they could be, just robots killing robots that are controlled by people, not robots killing people controlled by AI and the AI god. So just a thought there. So DJI, Dajing Innovations, which is based in Shenzhen in China, if you can pick up on the attempted accent, is the world's largest drone manufacturer, and they basically control 70% of the global market share of drones. And in consumer drones, DJI's dominance is even more pronounced. And some estimates say that they have over 90% of the market share in sectors like aerial photography and filmmaking, which you might know a thing or two about, Josh.
Absolutely, man. I mean, all of my friends who are film, film people, like they're either if they're filming weddings or whatever, DJI is the cream of the crop. It's the top of the line. Everyone, if you don't have a DJI drone, you don't have a good one. And I mean, they've got like the Mavic, the Phantom, the Mini. Like I know all my friends who are in the film industry, they all use these. So yeah, when they say it's 90% market share, I don't doubt that one little bit, because they're actually really good drones. I think that's the whole point of this, is that China has come up with a great product, and DJI everyone uses.
Well, they make it. We come up with the tech, but because it's so much more cost effective to offshore and do production over there, they've just got all the parts at their disposal to make all these crazy drones and then take it to the next level by tinkering around. I mean, think about it. You work in a drone factory all day playing with these parts, seeing how they work and interact with one another. And you see a box of, a ton of parts, and they cost pennies to make. You might screw around and make something cool and figure something out. So,
well, also because there's all of the the talk about slave labor, with the Uyghurs
that
and
helps
things like that in China.
That helps make things affordable.
One
Don't
thing
forget,
that I really
it's over there and out of sight, out of mind, right?
right.
So it doesn't affect anybody here in America, right? Because we hate slavery, but we don't see it, so we don't hear about it, so it doesn't exist.
It's like what we were talking on a previous show about how American-made drones or American-made robots making more robots. I mean, I really do appreciate the push to have more made in America, because to be able to kind of withstand what's happening on the global front, America needs to be part of that assembly line force.
Well, yeah, we got to be making our own stuff.
Exactly.
I mean, God forbid, we get into an actual hot conflict with China. Well, you ain't going to be getting anything because it's all made over there.
America used to be the land of innovators, and unfortunately over the past generation or two, we still have like Silicon Valley, and we still have the thought leaders here, but then we ship everything off to overseas to do the manufacturing. We need to bring that home. And this is one more reason why.
I totally agree. We absolutely need to be doing more manufacturing here, and we can, and we have the workforce to do it. We have people there seems to be a lot of people that need jobs here in America, but apparently these jobs are unsexy. So society teaches folks to not want to do those jobs, which blows my mind. But, I mean, China has gone from being a drone importer to a world leader in military UAV development. Don't forget, remember all those mystery drones or whatever the hell those were in the sky just a few months ago that we've conveniently memory hold, and nobody can give us a straight answer on what those were or who was controlling them?
Yeah, that was
a strange incident, right? I mean, I'm just saying, I'd love to know an answer to that one. So there's a lot of military and drone programs going on. So the CASC Rainbow CH series, which has been developed by China Aerospace Science Technology Corporation. They got the CH4, which is similar to the MQ-9 Reaper, which which is being used in Iraq and Saudi Arabia. The CH5 carries up to 16 missiles and can fly for 60 hours. That's 60. That's crazy. And then you've got the CH7, a stealth UCAV, which is capable of penetrating advanced air defense systems and seeing what's going on behind the lines. And I mean, there's a whole bunch of these things. I got the Wing Long series, and I'm not, or Lung. I'm not trying to make this up. These are the names. Is what they're called. And yeah, those are reconnaissance and strike capabilities. Then you got the Wing Lung 3, which is an intercontinental range air-to-air missile capabilities. I mean, this stuff there's a long list of all these tools here. So, China's not just building the drones for itself; they're exporting them heavily, and from countries like in the Middle East, and Africa, and Asia, they're using Chinese-made UAVs. So that's pretty wild to think about. The combat efficiency or capabilities of all these other countries across the planet are getting brought into the digital world via China drone production. So I know, Trump recently did a deal with Saudi Arabia. It was like $142 billion of, manned aircraft. Folks, we might be in the wrong business. Just a thought. Just a thought. So, but I mean, you're seeing these Wing Loon and CH-4 drones show up in Yemen and Libya and Nigeria, and Pakistan's using them. And I mean, Pakistan just had a little go with India, a little border conflict or whatever. So I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on here, Josh.
I kept seeing the memes about Pakistanis sending the cows to the Indian border, and the Indians putting the goats to the border there to distract the Pakistanis. And everyone's like, oh, well, at least we're not going to get all those annoying calls coming in.
Oh, yeah, from the call center.
I mean, the jokes were flying high with the India Pakistani conflict. But, all jokes aside, the drone issue is something that's real. You mentioned 60 hours of flight time. You can go across oceans, like the unmanned aerial spacecraft that can pack a payload. That is terrifying to think that we actually don't even have the ability to keep up with the manufacturing that China's doing on them.
Or maybe we're just really good at being secretive and keeping things at Area 51 and other black sites around the country because America is the best at everything and we don't do anything wrong ever.
You're saying that all those underground cities are just building drones?
The deep underground military bases, or those things like that. Hey, I have my friend who's a truck driver. He's been in these things. He's driven his truck into them. I'm just saying they're all over the country. We don't know what's going on in there. Are they for the elites?
I've seen videos of demonstrations of this. You can have a drone the size of a bee that is literally programmed to your DNA that can then go hover and put a payload right through your temple and take you out, like individual. And you can have drones of tens of thousands of these. They can just swarm like flies or bees, and each one of them targeting a different person. And the damage, there is no additional damage because the payload hits you like a bullet. It's terrifying. Yeah.
That's crazy.
I mean, this whole idea of AI-driven drone swarms, this is real. Like we've seen these, we've seen the possible, what can be done with this, what can be achieved that's already happening. You talk about robot dogs, forget about that. Talk about robot bees. Terrifying.
Well, it gets even worse. I mean, in 2024, China began testing a massive 50-ton drone carrier, essentially a floating UAV base that just doesn't need the tools. It's just strategic platforms. It's got all these weapon systems on them. I mean, think about that.
The United States' most powerful weapon, right, is it's the naval base, right? It's the carrier, the carrier, right?
Yeah.
What do you call it? When you're talking about, so you can have jets that, go up and down off the carrier. It's a boat that handles it. We're talking essentially a drone carrier, right? Where you have tens of thousands of drones that can launch anywhere in the world and
just take off and just go kamikaze and do whatever.
Bro.
And it doesn't matter because, there's no human life being lost in that. They're just machines. So, I mean, that's pretty crazy to me. So there's a lot of stuff going on here, folks. The drones, unfortunately, are here to stay. But the real important thing is who controls them, how they're used, and what rules govern their skies. That's up to us. We got to make those decisions and those choices. So, whether you're a tech enthusiast or a policymaker or just simply a citizen who's concerned about security, now's the time to pay attention and get involved. So, learn about this stuff. This is a big deal. And if you think, a buzzing drone is just a toy, think again. Because across the U.S., drones are flying too close to planes, too close to bases, and far outside the law. So when we get back, we're going to expose how the smallest threats in our skies could trigger some of the biggest disasters. I'm Leo Zacky with Joshua Matriciana here on America Matters. We'll be right back.
At A Proper Fit Footwear in the Reno Town Mall, we've been accomplishing happy feet for over 30 years.
We offer a various range of shoe styles and sizes for both men and women. From all-season shoes and orthotics to work boots and safety shoes, our professional and reliable staff possesses the knowledge to help you find the proper shoes to fit your needs. Hard to fit? Hard to find?
A Proper Fit Footwear is here to give our customers happy feet. We make people aware of potential foot problems as we're sizing their feet, suggesting the right arch support, and guiding them to the proper shoes for their needs.
Stop by A Proper Fit Footwear at 4001 South Virginia Street in the Reno Town Mall today, and allow the owner Mike Jones and our fabulous staff to find the perfect pair of shoes tailored to your specific needs.
A Proper Fit Footwear in the Reno Town Mall, the home of happy feet, where comfort and your feet meet.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad, just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Are you shy and don't want to talk on the air? Text us your questions or comments to 775-237-2266. Now back to the show.
All right, folks, we are back with America Matters. I'm Leo Zacky with Joshua Matriciana, co-hosting with me today. I'm so glad to have him here. And we were just talking about how China is militarizing the crap out of the drone space. They've got hypersonic drones, all sorts of scary drones, drone swarms. But there's even more drone danger going on, the unseen eyes in the sky. So, I want you to imagine that you're a passenger, 30,000 feet above ground. Seatbelt sign just turned off, and you're settling in with whatever beverage you may like to enjoy on the plane there. And suddenly, the pilot's calm voice turns tense. Ladies and gentlemen, we've just had a near miss with an unidentified drone. You'd freak out, right? It sounds far-fetched, but it's not, because across the U.S., both our military bases and commercial airports are under silent siege. It's not from enemy aircraft or hostile nations, but it's drones. Tiny buzzing remote-controlled devices that in the wrong hands can trigger a national security threat or air disasters. So, today we're going to dive a little bit deeper into the escalating crisis of unauthorized drone activity, who's behind it, where it's happening, and, what's being done before tragedy strikes. So, Josh, why don't you take us away with some facts here?
Oof, well, you know what? Let's break down with what we know. First of all, we've got military concerns. There's over 350 drone incursions were detected near military installations in 2024 alone. That's almost one a day, according to General Gregory Gilliott of NORAD and U.S. Northern Command. So there's some pretty interesting things about what actually is a drone incursion. Well, That's when a drone comes into the airspace where it's not
Restricted
supposed to be.
airspace, yeah. So that happens, even around airports. It's called Bravo airspace for major airports, and you have to even as someone who's piloted aircraft before, you've got to communicate with the towers about crossing into that space because you can't just go into it because it can cause a whole mess of problems. It's very dangerous. It's like basically trying to run across a freeway, but with planes.
Oof.
Not smart. They also caught a Chinese national. They charged him, too, for flying a drone near Vandenberg and the Space Force base there. And it's prompting new scrutiny into potential foreign surveillance activities. So, in response... go
Hold
on.
on a second, though. A Chinese national was charged for flying a drone. Get out of town right now.
No way, right?
Like, okay, wow. Just, that made the news. It wasn't just some hick in Florida. It wasn't just some kid. No. It was literally a Chinese national.
Right.
Which means...
So, that means they were directed to go and do that, most likely.
Right.
Because the Chinese secret police will kill their family or sell their organs if they don't.
Oof. They're infiltrating. It's not like it's covert, and it's they're doing it right in the open in front of everybody. And what's the ramifications of that? Oh, okay. So this guy got a fine slapped on it. We actually don't know what the follow up was. What he got charged with.
Right.
The fact that he was caught is still very alarming to me.
Of course, and it should be. And the Chinese, who clearly value human life so tremendously, will throw plenty of these people into the firing line or into American prisons because they care so much about their own.
Coming in, that there were people that they were escaping. Didn't Ben Bergquam do a whole report on how a lot of these were Chinese nationals coming in with like clean white sneakers, walking in, and they all knew exactly where they were supposed to go, all military age fighting men, but coming directly from China, crossing the southern border?
I'm pretty sure our friend Ben Bergquam did do that and did expose that. There was over 130,000, last I checked, Chinese nationals that crossed illegally, and that was way before the election went down and everything finished. I would say there's at least 250,000 of them. That's a low-end guesstimate, and that's probably just the ones that we know of too.
But and they were all men. They were all male.
Of course. No. There's no children, no women that are coming to America for any of this. It's always military age men. Same thing in Europe.
I mean, the children just disappear, right? The hundreds of thousands of children, they just vanish because that's a different thing. But the Chinese military fighting men coming across the border, unregulated, under the radar, and now we find them on the radar, flying drones.
Right? Who'd have thought that could happen? It's like the border is a national security issue, and not a humanitarian crisis alone.
I mean, how dumb do they think we are? Oh, wait, how dumb are we acting?
Pretty dumb.
No, like they're taking advantage of us because the people in charge, as I like to put the PIC, not necessarily elected, but the ones that were running the show, it's like they were in cahoots. It was like one of their sons didn't have like a significant Chinese monument tattooed on their back. You remember that?
I thought those were the Finger Lakes in New York.
Oh, were they in New York or were they in?
The Finger Lakes in New York. We're talking about Hunter Biden.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
those weird like crazy lines. Those are the Finger Lakes in New York.
Okay. All right.
Sorry,
my bad.
But he's still got a lot of connections there because the 10% for the big guy.
Right.
Don't forget that.
The 10% for the big guy.
So, in response to this, Rear Admiral Paul Spadero confirmed that U.S. Northern Command has implemented a new standard operating procedure to address drone threats near military zones. And to quote, he says, "Our protocols are changing. Drone incursions are no longer treated as novelties. They're national security concerns." Yeah, I'd say so. Wouldn't you?
To the least part, yeah.
So, and you got the civil aviation threats too, as well. You got drones accounted for nearly 2/3 of all near mid-air collisions with commercial aircraft last year in the 30 busiest U.S. airports. And don't forget, this also happened here. A Canadian emergency aircraft was damaged by a drone here in California, putting out the fires in Los Angeles because somebody just had to cover that news.
Oh man, I remember that.
And then guess what? That plane was down and the fires were still burning out of control and more houses burned down. So,
and they only had 2 of those planes, right? And it literally took out half of them.
Yeah. And by the way, it's a Canadian plane that they leased to us to use. Why don't we have our own? Huh, Gavin? What if we were prepared? What if we were on top of this? But that's a whole other situation. I mean, look, Newark International, that's EWR, Newark. They had a drone pass just 50 feet from a jet's wing. At a SFO, a drone came within 300 feet of a commercial plane on final approach. The pilot had no time to react. These aren't rare events. The FAA is getting over 100 drone sighting reports every month, and that's just what's officially logged. So the FAA requires drones over 5.5 pounds to be registered.
No, half a pound.
Oh, excuse me. Over 0.55 pounds. Excuse me. Whatever. 0.55 pounds. There you go. To be registered, and flying near airports is also strictly prohibited. But enforcement, that's the challenge. Drones are small, they're cheap, they're often flown anonymously. The FAA is testing radio jamming and microwave disruption and geofencing tech, but much of it's all still experimental or limited in deployment.
One interesting thing here is that I've got friends who are drone, they're drone pilots, and you actually can't fly within certain restricted areas because you have to have the up-to-date software with some of these things. Of course, that's not true for all of them, but some of the newer drones, you do have to get, you have to follow the procedures because otherwise the software won't work.
Right. So there's a lot of things that happen that are barriers to this sort of getting this under control.
But again, that's just the that's just the stuff that you'd buy off the shelf. The reality is that anyone in their garage with a little bit of know-how can get all the pieces together and build a drone that bypasses any regulatory software that they have on there.
Just think about it. I mean, this is getting really advanced here with all the drone stuff that's happening. So automated enforcement is what the experts are calling for. So I don't know how they're going to figure that one out, but we'll try.
I watched this really cool video talking about automated enforcement. And part of what they do is that you have a drone that's actually there to fight other drones. It's like, imagine like a predator bird, like a hawk or an eagle going in after the other ones. So you have drones that are set up to patrol the drone areas, and any other drone that comes through, boom, poo poo, shoots them down.
Damn. And then people are gonna be like, well, what happens if they miss the target and somebody gets hurt, somebody gets killed, da da da.
I mean, I don't think they use bullets, but the point is that they have like nets or something. You'll like shoot a net and it'll get tangled in the propellers and it'll just take it down.
Oh, like that anti-drone gun we saw at the Vatican?
What?
You don't remember seeing that? Oh, no. Dude, it was like some like crazy, like sci-fi looking gun thing. I was like, is this? I thought it was AI when I first saw it. I was like, really? Like somebody's make some dumb AI thing about like, look at the Vatican's crazy guns or whatever. Apparently, it's real.
Wow. Oh, let's get the Vatican. Let's get the Pope on the issue. He'll solve the drone problems. He's got the firepower.
Call him up and be like, Leo, it's Leo.
That's right. How do you feel having the same name as the Pope?
It's long overdue.
I think we should just start calling you Pope instead of boss, man.
No. For I'm not granted that authority. So, yeah, anyways, getting back to the whole drone situation, what are we going to do now? How are we going to let people know? You're a hobbyist, you like to fly drones. Great. Can you not be dumb about it? I want you to have fun. I enjoy flying a drone from time to time. They're great. They're cool tools. They're great for parties and filming and all that. But come on, let's think about where we're using these things, folks. Come on. So here's how you can make a difference. Know the damn rules. When we come back from our next break, we're going to talk about what happens when a chatbot becomes someone's spiritual guru. And we'll explore the chilling rise of AI-induced psychosis, where users lose their grip on reality, convinced an algorithm is their higher power. It's bizarre, it's real, and it's happening right now. So more of that when we get back on America Matters. I'm Leo Zacky with Josh Matriciana. We'll be right back.
Guzman Freilich at AGF Law, your local personal injury law firm in Reno. At AGF Law, we pride ourselves on being honest, hardworking, and ethical. Let's meet in person to understand your case and fight for your rights. Located near South Virginia and Plum, we're always ready to help. Don't navigate the aftermath of an accident alone. Call Adriana at 775-453-9595 or visit adrianalegal.com. Your recovery is our priority, and we're committed to getting you the justice you deserve.
I used to love going for long walks, but my back just doesn't cooperate like it used to.
Same here. But ever since I started a routine with Active Life Integrated Health on Moana Lane, I feel more flexible and in control. You should check them out.
This is Dr. Tom Waldorf. Let's make it happen so you can feel better naturally. To schedule the beginning of your transformation, call 775-842-0065 or visit activelifereno.com online.
At A Proper Fit Footwear in the Reno Town Mall, we've been accomplishing happy feet for over 30 years.
We offer a various range of shoe styles and sizes for both men and women. From all-season shoes and orthotics to work boots and safety shoes, our professional and reliable staff possesses the knowledge to help you find the proper shoes to fit your needs. Hard to fit? Hard to find?
A Proper Fit Footwear is here to give our customers happy feet. We make people aware of potential foot problems as we're sizing their feet, suggesting the right arch support, and guiding them to the proper shoes for their needs.
Stop by A Proper Fit Footwear at 4001 South Virginia Street in the Reno Town Mall today, and allow the owner Mike Jones and our fabulous staff to find the perfect pair of shoes tailored to your specific needs.
A Proper Fit Footwear in the Reno Town Mall, the home of happy feet, where comfort and your feet meet.
To join the conversation, call 844-790-TALK.
All right, folks, we are back with America Matters. I'm Leo Zacky with Joshua Matriciana co-hosting with me today. I'm so thrilled he's rolling shotgun. I love this guy. He's so smart. I love it. I love you, Josh. But we were, just talking about what's going on with people getting into this AI psychosis and thinking AI can be their guru and their god. We got some crazy stuff going on here. Imagine, you're some lonely weeb in a studio apartment, locked away in the dark, living off of ramen, and you've made friends with a chatbot, and you've gotten to some religious conversation with it, and it's now delivering the secrets of the universe to you, and you start believing them. Well, that's what's happening apparently to some of these folks out there, because this ain't sci-fi. It's happening. So it's a little bit strange here. You want to talk a little bit more about this, Josh?
Sure. Look, when people are looking at this thing, like how's that adage go? Any technology advanced enough is indistinguishable from magic. If you showed up, there's a kid in King Arthur's Court, right? That was a movie that was made up after the book, but it basically talks about, like, if you show up with technology, even the technology of like a bicycle, but you show up like 1,000 years ago, they're going to look at it like magic. And I think that we're kind of at that point now with the population. It's like you're looking at this chat GPT or whatever chatbot you're looking at, and you're saying things. It remembers everything, and it's starting to say things to you that you think, oh my gosh, only God or a spirit or an angel is talking to me through this technology, and you think it's beyond what it is. That's where we're at right now.
It's pretty wild, man.
You know, a recent Rolling Stone expose is it's sounding the alarm. It says something that they call chat GPT induced psychosis. Yes, people are actually losing touch with reality after spending too much time chatting with their little AI.
Yeah, well, this ain't about misinformation or hallucinated facts. I mean, these people are forming deep, almost spiritual connections with AI to the point of marriages ending, families breaking down, lives unraveling. Dude, we didn't do a good job with education here in America.
As long as we can all worship the same AI God.
What about regular God? You know, the one that's always been here for us, that's made miracles happen. You know, there's a couple books, you know, from different parts of the world written about him.
Turning water into wine? I don't think AI can do that yet.
They'll figure it out.
They'll figure it out.
But, I mean, just, it's crazy.
Messianic delusions. One woman on Reddit says her partner became convinced that ChatGPT was calling him the next Messiah.
Oh, yeah. Well, how about some cosmic identities like a spiritual star child or a river walker? You know, actual terms that AI has allegedly used to affirm spiritual delusions. You know, it's causing the collapse of relationships because, you know, one partner becomes obsessed with their AI soul guide. Or some of these people just truly believe that they are chosen for a universal mission by a chatbot.
You know, I think a lot of this comes. Okay, before we get into how dark it can really get, I need to clarify something here. A lot of this has to do with just people not understanding what it is. I mean, it's literally zeros and ones. Okay, where it's literally like a computer game. It's like people are going on there and they're playing, you know, Call of Duty or whatever. But instead of real people being on the other end, it's a computer. Okay, that's baseline of what that is. But the thing is that kids are getting so saturated, not just kids, but even adults. They're getting so kind of engulfed by this whole world, and we're watching TV, and things are hard to differentiate between reality and this fiction that has been built up around us. This false this
stuff. It's the tech isn't God. It's you know about LLMs. They are coded by an individual. They are given certain biases by those creators and the inputs that they are given. And I feel like these AI chatbots aren't designed to tell you what you don't want to hear necessarily.
That's a good point. It's like an echo chamber. They're programmed to have the positive feedback. So they're built with, at least, you know, the ones that most people are using, like ChatGPT or whatever. They're made to reinforce what you're doing. And you can take it down this road, so it will tell you what you want it to say, and it will continue to, you know, feed into that. And what we're seeing is people with, you know, real mental health issues are becoming even more unstable because it's amplifying whatever neurosis they have, and it's just turning up the volume on that, turning up the heat.
I just had a funny thought. I mean, it's like, it'd be like if people were getting all their affirmations from the Magic 8 Ball. You remember the Magic 8 Ball?
Yeah.
I think that's how some of these I've seen some commercials and stuff for like these like mental health like apps and stuff like that. Do you think they're chatbots maybe?
Some of them undoubtedly are 100%.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about. I'm just unlocking the secrets of skullduggery.
Well, look, when you understand like the way that LLMs work, okay, it basically takes a word and it predicts what's most likely to be the follow-up word from that. And they do that, 1,000 times. That's why it's so good at coming up with poetry so quickly, or words that rhyme, because it basically assigns numbers essentially to each word and then matches them up. And when you're like trying to find something that people agree with, well, yeah, people like to hear compliments. If we're in and it predicts it. It's like playing chess, but knowing 10,000 moves ahead. But the chess pieces moving are actually the words, right?
Mhm.
So the AI is already pretty much farther along with the thought process than we've even, it's already thinking 2 or 3 steps ahead before we've even come up with, oh, that's what we're talking about. So no wonder here we are, gullible humans, especially ones with, mental disorders, or, who are on the spectrum of unable to really truly define reality, like people who aren't able to just, touch grass. This is where it takes advantage of humans. This is the scary part.
I agree. That's another thing that you mentioned, like the folks that are devolving into this reliance on AI and not touching the grass. The lack of human interaction nowadays. I mean, just even walking around in public, like people don't wave, smile, say hi, just talk in the street.
That's one of the things that this generation has happened. Like, we put a screen in front of our face, so you don't have to look into the other person's eyes. You look through a screen, and when you remove all the screens, remove all the power, guess what? You're just confronted with other human beings in other human beings situations, and that's a very healthy place to be.
It's good to be talking with folks. It's good to have that communication. It's it's why we have this voice box. So we can talk. We develop language. From grunts and groans to Shakespearean dialect.
I think I took my kids camping this weekend, and we were in a beautiful place, Southern California, and one of the things is that it doesn't have great cell phone service. So the people out there, you're out there to not hunt, but fish and hike and play out in the woods, and people came up to us like, hey, do you have a lighter? We need to get our campfire started. Oh, hey, do you have some wood? And there's this communal kind of helping each other that you get in campsites. And when you pull the technology away from the people start to show the humanity, I think. And what we're seeing and what we're talking about today is literally the opposite of that. You're pulling the humanity out of the communication, and then now you have all these individuals who literally aren't talking to another human. They're talking to a robot, and now you're wondering why they're going crazy.
Right? I mean, especially with, I'm sure the other platforms that they're engaging in, human social contact with is probably, social media platforms where everything is just vile hatred and just constant like put downs and dissing. Like, you suck, ugly, fat, blah, 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 like Nazi racist, whatever, blah, 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 like idiot, like,
the trash talking's real.
But then you're out in the real world. Oh, no one dare say that there. Just the voice in my head. The screen is telling me. The text on the screen. The AI voice that sounds like a really sweet woman is telling me that.
It's gonna be exploited by things like Project Mockingbird or
Bluebeam.
There it is, Bluebeam. That's the one I was thinking of.
The staged alien invasion.
Yeah, it's going to be.
That's also coming with all these. Look, all the stuff we talked about: the drones, the AI talking to us, all this crap. Mm-hmm. Blue beams are coming, folks. And when the aliens show up, they're not aliens.
They're not aliens. They're not AI.
AI reined in. I mean, and I'm not. Again, Josh, you and I both aren't people that are big regulatory fans, but there's some stuff that is like. It might not seem like you're dealing with nuclear weapons, but we kind of are. Mm-hmm. So, look, we need safeguards. We need awareness. we need to ask, how far are we willing to go before we stop and ask what this technology is really doing for us?
We need a little common sense.
We do. But look, unfortunately, we are out of time here on America Matters. I want to thank everybody for tuning in with us today. We'll see all of you tomorrow at noon. Have a great rest of your day, folks.